One Piece. Oh my goodness, this is One Piece chapter 1165, Reverberations. No cover story. We are moving into the chapter last we left off, which tragically we couldn't cover last week, but Rox has been Domi Reverside. He went after his own family, but luckily Kuma was there to save him, which was a really nice touch. And, just another one of those, threads crossing in the One Piece universe, Kuma having to do with just being a monumental character all across the history of the series. Mm-hmm. Man, without him, there is no Blackbeard, and he has not ever met him.
Right.
Crazy.
Damn. He saved both kids.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
So, something must have happened to Blackbeard's mom after they teleported to wherever they teleported, because, Blackbeard was alone. Unless he ran away from home. I don't know. Who knows? Anyway, everybody is evacuating the island except for Garp and Roger, who are being tasked by Rox himself to kill him before he hurts anybody. Rox has actually defeated both Big Mom and Kaido. He one-shotted both of them, basically. And he clashed swords with Whitebeard as well, leaving him to fight Garp and Roger alone. And that's where this chapter picks up, with Rox using his hockey voice thing to communicate with Roger and Garp and begging them to kill him.
It's the voice of all things.
Yeah, the voice of all things. Well, because he is communicating with them, but I guess it's his willpower. And because Roger and Garp both have the ability to hear the voice of all things, they can hear Garp, Rox's real self reaching out. So yeah, they fight for a while. It's actually pretty cool. I can't wait for the anime to greatly exaggerate this fight. It's gonna be super cool. But yeah, they cross swords. It's not like a whole lot to cover. Garp punches the shit out of him in the face. Roger does his sword thing, but at this point, Rox's Conqueror's Haki is much too strong for both of them. That with his single attack, he is able to split the clouds. And that's something that Rox has done solo, where we've only ever seen this in the context of two people with very strong Supreme Haki clashing. This was basically Rox doing it by himself, which is pretty nuts. And meanwhile, we get little snippets of the various members of the Rox crew evacuating and stealing his... Kyo, the axe wielder guy, he steals Rox's ship and escapes. I imagine Golden Lion, Shiki flies away. The Roger pirates are waiting offshore, and so are Garp's soldiers. But Garp and Roger tell them to wait offshore and that they'll be back, just to wait for them, basically. They flap off their respective cool over-the-shoulder coats that they don't always wear fully. Like, nobody wears their jackets in One Piece. They just kind of hang off their shoulders. They throw it to the side and agree to team up. And they fight Rox for a while. We get a scene of Big Mom and Kaido also splitting ways. And they leave on better terms than all the other Rox pirates. Whitebeard crosses a very familiar looking face who's like, oh, Brian's gone. He'll come back. It's probably his internet. So yeah, Whitebeard comes across a very familiar face, and it turns out to be the captain of the Polo Pirates, Polo Graham, which is probably pretty obviously Marco's father, meaning that Marco's full name is Polo Marco. Yeah, he looks just like Marco.
No, I know.
I was about to say, there's no way, bro. There's no way.
Polo Graham.
Yo.
Hell yeah. We just introduced Polo Graham. And that means Marco's whole name is Polo Marco.
Well, no, he said his name was... Didn't he say his name was Graham?
No, yeah, this is Marco's father. But this is the first time we've seen that Marco's full name must be Polo Marco. as in
Oh my
Marco
Has,
Polo.
has that not been revealed before?
No,
Like his full name?
no, this is the first time. I saw a meme about this actually. I was like kind of spoiled on this point, but I saw a meme that someone said Oda really waited 800 chapters to make a Marco Polo joke.
Yeah, he did.
Well, Marco Polo is a guy. You know?
He is. It's just funny. But yeah, this is how I guess Marco ends up on Whitebeard's crew. He was born, you know, to Graham, and you know, Marco Polo was born later. We see Stussy manages to escape, but she can't find Whitebeard, so she's pissed. We see Gonzui seems to make it off okay. And we then cut to the Navy ship where Dragon is crashing out. Dragon is like, "What the fuck are you people doing here? Did you know what we were doing here?"
He said, "No, what are you people doing?" The fuck? Yeah.
He's like, "Did you know what we were aiding in here?" And he says, "Put them on your ship." Them referring to the participants of the game that they were playing here. He's like, put them on the ship right now, and if anybody argues against it, I'll execute him on the spot. And the Navy is like, this isn't going to end here, Dragon. And he's like, it better not. So, you know, points for Dragon. He was always that guy. Very cool. So we see that Rayleigh and Gabon also got off the ship, probably to go aid Roger. We see a world government ship sailing away with Emu still possessing Saint Saturn's body, looking on and saying that island will have never existed. Understood. So I guess they plan on destroying the island at some point. We then get a narration as the battle continues, saying that the God Valley incident, S-level top secret classification, records of clandestine operations and special hazard pay for Naval Base G11 and Cipher Pole number 6. The what?
The special hazard pay is taking me out.
Yeah. Registry of participants in the human hunt expunged. Site of event God Valley. Island location, population details erased, and the number of fatalities is unknown. So there seems to be a pause in the battle, and Roger and Garp start talking. He's like, "Bro, did you see this shit? That black monster that the government has, and they call themselves the good guys." And Garp's like, "Man, I can't believe it either." And Garp, I think Roger assumes is like, "So you're like quitting the Navy now, right? Like, you're like quitting now, right?" And he's like, "Don't be an idiot. If I quit, who's gonna watch out for the rank and file?" And Roger's like, "All right, anyway, let's find out how to beat this guy." He's like, "All right, bro." So he's like,
I'll let agenda piece take care of you. We got something more important to handle right now.
Roger was like,
I don't feel you, but go on.
yeah.
Go on.
Yeah, so you know, Roger's like, the audience will take care of you. But he's like, first of all, he talks about how the color of armament is a power that doesn't yield to devil fruits, and on top of that, what I was wreathed in the color of the Supreme King, so there's no way it couldn't have hurt him. And Garp was like, yeah, but like he was also using Supreme King Haki too, so like they canceled out. And Roger was like, yeah, but no, if we both use the most Supreme King Haki, it will take him out. And Roger's like, true. So, you know, they both try to use their, like, this is their ultimate attack. They're putting all of their Supreme King Haki into it as they're loading up as Rox approaches. And they're like, listen up, Rox. I don't know what to say to you. I don't know what happened to you either, but there's one thing I do recognize. I recognize your sorrow. And Roger's like wiping his tears, just like, don't cry. And he says, gotta fire. And Roger loads up Infinitum. And we get a 2-page spread of both of them unleashing their ultimate attacks, which interestingly enough, Roger's ultimate attack is gotta fire Ace. And Garp's infinitum explosion. As Rox falls, the narration continues to say that the government attempted to cover up everything that happened here, but the downfall of Rox D. Zebek and his lawless band of followers, the Rox Pirates, who wreaked havoc on the area, cast unmistakable reverberations that shook the very world. And man, that was One Piece chapter 1165. Josh isn't here, so I think I'm just going to pass this one over to Brian. Brian, what did you think about One Piece?
Josh is back.
Oh, Josh is back. Do you want to go first, Josh?
Yeah, I go for it. Thanks for stalling for a second. All right, RGC, without a doubt.
Yeah. What about you, Brian?
This is a tough one.
This was a tough week for me as well.
I'll give it RGC.
I'm trying to think. Did I miss a chapter this week? Cause
No. I will also give it the RGC, but it's very close. It was very close this week for me personally.
is there something I didn't read that's actually hot fire? Like,
Well, I'll tell you when we get there. But this is our unified really good chapter of the week.
Unified RGC. Unified RGC. Unified RGC.
Go on, Josh.
I'm really intrigued. I'm looking forward to what you guys have to say about the other chapters. But this is One Piece, and it was my best and most favorite of the week. Garp is still a suck ass dude, but they met the challenge, and Rox is. It's sad, man. It's sad. I'm really sad for Rox. I had no idea. I mean, we was asked a question in the pre-show about twists in series, and I couldn't talk about this one, but man, I think all of us predicted in some kind of way that it was gonna. We didn't know he was gonna get reverse seed. I mean, you
predicted
called it, but yeah,
I was right.
Like, even when we kept thinking about what happened at God Valley, I didn't think they'd end up. I mean, that's what they said, that they ended up fighting Rox. I just didn't think. It's funny how that is exactly what happened. They didn't lie about that, but it was about the details, which is, I guess, enough. But anyway, I mean, the chapter itself, like the art, like the actual action was tough. I think. I don't know. I'm at a loss for words, guys. It was just hype. I don't know how else to put it. It was hype. They went for the fucking super moves. I mean, we got a clear announcement that, you know, this event was covered up, and how Dragon immediately became radicalized as soon as he got off the island. I mean, right there, he became Dragon the Revolutionary when he put a gun to that dude's face. They just said, oh, this isn't going to end here. Like, bro, like, you don't see what the fuck is happening. Like, you guys wasn't about to leave a whole bunch of people to die because you got some type of orders. Yeah, that means a lot. They did plenty with Dragon for me. You know what I'm saying? I have some more thoughts about Dragon, but I'm going to say that for after the rest of this fight. God of Fire Ace as a special move.
It's a very nice callback. Very cool.
Not only is it a callback, you know, when you think about Nika, like the sun god, right? He had the bungee powers, right? Nika motto, he's a rubber man, you know? So what the fuck does that have to do with the sun? To me, the biggest thing is just fire. We already know Luffy could do like a Red Hawk, like turn himself into flames and shit, right? And I think Joy Boy or whoever it was that that Nika is based on from back then, you know, had a lot of fire in his abilities. And I don't think it was just Joy Boy. I think people with fire like abilities is really important for the series. And the reason I'm even saying all of this right now is because we're, you know, what I just passed on my like One Piece reading journey after they left Wano was them talking about a man with a burned scar. You know, I think that has something. I think this is somebody that maybe is ancient and got into a fight with Joy Boy in the past or something like that. Just a wild guess. I'm just throwing that out there, but I don't know. It was just the fact that like Luffy reminds a lot of people, like takes after Roger, like based on a lot of people that was around him, you know. And you see how his special move was a fire attack. I just think that's significant. I think that it's deeper than just him naming it after his son. And the fact that Ace, you know, was so free and helped like a lot of people out. I mean, he was in Wano. Essentially, he was ready to be a hero for them. You know what I'm saying? And he could have been considered a sun god, right? For them.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess a handful of other places that he's been, but whatever. I don't want to keep carrying on. The other thing I wanted to talk about, as far as Dragon goes, I have a feeling he's not really like a fighter like that. Right? And I'm only saying it this way because like I'm sure he could scrap and has like a huge, you know, amount of power through his like fruit. But I'm not expecting him to have any long drawn out fights with anybody. I wouldn't be like mad if something happened to him. I know like we're talking about the future right now, but I just see that Dragon, if he wasn't a fighter, it would be okay. You know what I'm saying? Because the reason he's the world's most dangerous man is because of his ideals and the actions he's taken. You know, and he is really similar to Luffy in that regard, how truly the heart of his movement is his team. I mean, everybody else around him pulling their weight more so than they would by themselves. So whatever, just some general thoughts on Dragon. I really like this chapter. I mean, the little flavor shots of like the other people around the island. This little exchange between Big Mom and Kaido too. It was, you know, it was a little funny knowing that they both just got fucking smoked.
Yeah.
But it also makes sense why they linked up together too. It was deeper than just rocks. They also had a little personal relationship with each other. All right, those are all my thoughts. Was you gonna say something, Chris?
No, I'll save it for my my thoughts.
Okay, Brian, what were your thoughts on this chapter?
Oh my god, Rocks. It's so sad what happened to Rocks, dude. I can't, like, seeing him like crying. Oh my god, that shit fucking hurted. It fucking hurted. Like, you kind of expected that he would be dummy reversied, but like at the same time, it like not having control over your actions and being forced to do shit that you don't want to do, like being a passenger in your own body. This was such a like heartbreaking way to kind of convey that in this story, you know, because like the person is trapped within there and there's nothing they can do, and somebody as powerful as Rocks reduced to this is so sad. It really is. Like, this is not the way I thought that he would go down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because throughout this whole flashback, he's always had a smile on his face. He's always like handled things with like a level of optimism, like very Luffy like. And to see him like this it's so sad, you know? Like, I did not think I would love this character the way that I do until this point. Oda's truly like an expert, like truly the greatest to ever do it, because like Kagurabachi does do things like this where they'll introduce you to a character and then you're like, okay, that guy's really fucking cool, right? But Oda just said, hold my beer, little kid. Here you go, Squirt. Hang on to that real quick. And he just told this guy's whole story, and it was done in such a way that you were like, damn, it sucks that we're gonna have to say bye to him now. You know what I mean? But I guess his story's not over because Blackbeard is taking it on, and it seems like it's a bastardization of what Rock stood for. And I don't know. This was a tough, even though there was so much cool shit going on, this was a tough read purely because of Rocks. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Yeah. To build off what you said, Brian, I think like the thing that Oda does, and we've mentioned this before, is the technique that he uses a lot. He's very good. The reason he's like very good at this is that he puts in the time to like introduce characters not through the context or through the eyes of our main characters, but they like through how the world has perceived them first, and then we get to see who they really were. So really the time, the difference between One Piece and a lot of manga is time, and just the amount of energy you put into not foreshadowing per se, but like building your character in a way that you can only do if you've built your world to this degree. And it's the kind of thing you can only do when you've been going for 24 years. So, it's not really even a knock on anybody. It's just like the way Oda is constructing his story and the time that he had to do it really sets it apart. And, it is very smartly done through the idea of, as I've mentioned before, the idea of the manufacturing consent. So, of just like how the government has lied about how people are or how certain events went down, and then juxtaposing it with how sympathetic the people involved really were. It's not an easy way, but it's like, it's a very smart way to get someone on your side in terms of storytelling and writing. And Oda's very good at it. A couple of things I wanted to point out in this chapter. I had one disappointment in this chapter, and that's why I kind of like struggled with giving this my RGC. And it's honestly the reason I decided to give it is that it's kind of a minor issue, but there's one thing about regarding Whitebeard that I felt was a little off. Like, I know the whole Rocks pirates, the whole point of them is that they're not very close and they're in it for themselves and they're all very selfish and they're not beholden to Rocks. But it's been built up a little bit that Whitebeard and Rocks were a little closer. And given how Whitebeard is with family and, how deeply he comes to care about people, I felt it was slightly out of character for him to leave this easily, especially after staying to save his family, essentially. It felt slightly off in that regard, and I wish he had stayed a little longer, maybe was knocked out for the remainder of this fight, because for a minute it felt a little out of character for Whitebeard to just leave Rocks behind, given how it seems that they were closer than the other Rocks pirates were to Rocks. That's really my only gripe. But the rest of this chapter is really cool. One thing that I really thought about as well is it's very funny how Blackbeard's, in the future, his two main enemies are Ace and Luffy, given that Roger and Garp are the ones that defeated his father. So it's almost like kind of that parallel in that Ace and Luffy defeated Rocks in that sense, where like it's, those lineages defeated Blackbeard, and then Blackbeard would then come to be the catalyst that brings the end of Ace and would later be a huge problem for Luffy, like his main obstacle down the line. So, and I don't know how cognizant or how intentional Blackbeard was with getting Ace specifically, is because he knew that he's Roger's kid and Roger killed my dad. So fuck you, I'm gonna kill Ace type shit. I
wouldn't be surprised.
It makes sense. He went because, Ace is a high profile pirate, and killing the third in command technically of Whitebeard's crew would would get him the status he needs. But you know, that's only because I think like it could be an added bonus in that sense. It just kind of worked out that way that, you know, hey, I could kill two birds with one stone. I could get revenge on the guy who killed my dad while also furthering my agenda. But, you know, that's all dependent on how much Blackbeard knows about this incident. And
Well, he was originally going for Luffy.
he was
and then
originally
Ace
going
showed
for
up.
Luffy. That's true. But, you know, he was going after Luffy, you know, who is Garp's grandson. So, you know, I think it is dependent on how much Blackbeard knows. And I think Blackbeard, it's safe to assume, probably knows everything.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
So, you know, if he was going after Luffy, that still kind of maintains that idea, you know, that like, you know, he was going after Garp's grandson. He could have gone after anybody. At that time, Luffy probably wasn't even the most valuable pirate in the worst generation. There was still Kid above him. He went specifically after Luffy. So I don't know. But I do think like it's something I never even realized before when it was first introduced that it was Garp and Roger. But then I guess at that time we didn't know that Rox was Blackbeard's father for sure. So
You could chalk it up to fate. You know how Oda
It could be
likes
fate,
to play
obviously,
it
yes.
in these, you know, it could be a fate thing.
It could be a fate.
both fate and intention. You know,
yeah,
what
I mean the
I think
Blackbeard
there's a lot
pirates
of
are very
ways.
fatalist. You know, they're always talking about how
Yes.
like if it's meant to be, it's meant to be.
Yep.
But you know, people who are fatalists also tend to create self-fulfilling prophecies, you know. They intentionally fill things out that way because they're fated, you know. But I think it's an interesting aspect.
I mean, Whitebeard had to know that Teach was Rock's son, right?
I think he did. And I'm wondering, I think that's why he took him in, probably.
Right, because he already felt some type of way. Like, he probably wouldn't have normally let somebody like him on the ship if it wasn't for him knowing that.
Mm-hmm.
Which is funny because then he had Ace's kid too. All right, I wanted to address a couple things that was said. I don't want to drag the One Piece
No, yeah,
conversation.
of course. I mean,
but as far as the whole how you feel about like Whitebeard kind of like giving up on Rocks, you know, and not continuing to fight. I do agree with you. First of all, I am a little shocked that Whitebeard didn't just feel more passionate about the situation. But at the same time, they did have a clash in the previous chapter, and he straight up asked him, like, "Oh, is this how you really feel? Is it really that trivial?" Now, I don't want to believe that Newgate is that fucking dull. I mean, that thick in the head to like not, you know, see that something happened to him and he's acting different now. But I feel like maybe that was. I think he just didn't want to have to face the.
I think that's
the
true.
reality.
Yeah, that's why I wasn't like that down on it. But
he
yeah,
still gave up.
he did give up.
He still kind of gave up. But I don't know. Maybe he said, "Fuck it." Like, you know what? Ultimately, I knew that we was all gonna break apart anyway. There's been this general pessimism. I mean, they also all said that after this, like the Rocks crew is gonna disband. Zebek said that himself.
Yeah.
So maybe he was conflicted with a lot of those thoughts, and then when he made his own crew, he was like, "Nah, like I'm gonna make sure we're all tight and that we never dissolve or break apart." Because he probably did really feel a way. He's probably feels a way about missing out, you know, about the rest of the crew leaving too. But anyway, that's just how I feel about that.
On another note on that, yeah, I do have one thing that's interesting is that, you know, we talk about agenda piece sometimes and, you know, like the fraud, you know, all that stuff. But, you know, it's they're fun to conversations to have, but you also think of these perspectives of this is all before these legends became the legends that they were. Like, you know, this is before this incident, Roger was just a fuckboy in a ship full of fuckboys trying to get laid.
Yeah, that ass. Goofy as hell.
You know, Garp was
But
just.
even then, he was still really, really strong. He
No,
was stronger
obviously,
than
I'm
Big
saying-
Mom and
I'm not
No,
talking about
just
strength wise. I'm not talking
Very
about strength
unserious
wise.
now.
I'm talking
Yeah.
about like a personal maturity level. where they were young. This is them when they were, well, not kids. I mean, I guess Roger was like a grown ass man at this point, but you know what I mean? It's like there are certain things that happen in your life that fundamentally change you. And to some degree, I mean, to be who you are as Roger, there's like a Arrested Development type of thing where you're not the most mature adult in the room. And I'd like to think that something, you know, this event changes both Roger and Garp and anybody who was involved in this. We also see Kaido in this moment. Also, you know, he has his ideals reaffirmed here. It's like, just watch me. I'm going to create a new crew where violence rules all. You know, I wouldn't say that people are growing up in this, but this is before, you know, everything went down. Also, real quick, and this is something I just saw. Someone has the horo fruit here.
What's that?
That's Gil Bastar.
The Perona's fruit. In page 11, in the lower left-hand panel, you see one of the ghosts.
Yeah, it's Gil Bastar.
Who?
He's a character from one of Oda's
Wait,
one shots.
you said page
before.
11?
Page 11, bottom left, where Stussy is like, where's Newgate?
11.
Am I looking at the right one? Because I feel like it's also the pages don't line up.
12 for me. Yeah,
Okay,
it's like one off for some reason.
Yeah.
Where do you see Perona's ghost at?
In the same panel as Stussy and Gansui, you see the little ghost there.
Oh, and I guess it's with that guy with the shades.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just noticed that. That's funny.
Anyway, sorry, that got me off track. But you know,
Yeah.
that's what I like to say. That's what I'd like to rebut that. You know, because in that case, Whitebeard could have just been like, you know, he's not as mature as he was when he was like an old ass man dying. You know,
Yeah.
so he probably took
right.
Rox's words to heart, and he was really hurt by, you know, like him saying that they were really all nothing to him for real. So, you know,
Even though he was saying the opposite of how he really felt.
no, he didn't really mean it.
Newgate didn't hear the voice.
And you know, maybe when Whitebeard finds Blackbeard later, he remembers that moment and he feels awful about it, and he's like, you know what, I'm gonna take care of his son. But those are my headcanons as it stands right now. We'll have to see. I don't know how long we're gonna get this flashback anymore. I feel like maybe it's 1 or 2 chapters left before we cut back to the present. But man, what a ride, you guys.
I'm sorry, I got a couple more things to say.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Sorry. So, you know, as I was reading this chapter, man, I mean, and I was listening to Brian talk about like just how sad this shit is. I'm not gonna hold you, bro. This is kind of fucking triggering in a way. And let me just start by saying this, right? I think the way Rox went out and the way that, you know, he had to end up fighting against Garp and Roger, I think it was brilliant because it wasn't, you know, I could have easily seen a way where like Rox was manipulated emotionally or something like that into having to fight them, like thinking he had to, like they was trying to like attack his people or some shit like that. And that would have been, you know, I'm sure that would have been fine too. But I think this was really on point because I mean his freedom was taken away from him like that. Everything he was as a person completely changed. He was on top of the fucking world up until he ran up into Emu and they did that shit to him.
Yeah.
I don't think that was cheap. I think that was trying to prove a point that, like, you know, these mighty figures in history that, you know, caused changed or impacted, you know, so many lives. At the end of the day, they're just people. And you can, I mean, they can die. I don't know how else to say it. Like they can just, you know, get killed just like that. And
not even just get killed. It's also like reduced to like puddles of tears.
Yeah, and all, yeah, right. I mean, just he got killed because of what happened to him. So yeah, you're absolutely right. And I can't help but think about like what the series is trying to say about freedom and the people who fight for it and those who are against it, and then just think about, you know, radical figures in history that got killed by you know by state sponsored violence and such, like political violence, etc. And it's important. I mean, it's just crazy how we're talking about like their children too, like you know, later on in the story, and like how their legacies. And we all know Otis saying how, you know, these things don't die, how like the spirit moves on, and like I guess the good fight or whatever, like reincarnates and continues to fight against, like, you know, the evil, et cetera, et cetera. It's just, this was a really powerful chapter in that regard. It broke everything apart. I mean, he wasn't a force of like Rox wasn't a force of justice or anything, but he was a deterrent to the powers that be. And Emu was just completely said, nah, all right,
that's a wrap.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, this is crazy. Like, this was a whole event. They made a game out of committing genocide to this group of people that clearly, you know, when they found the island and found out who it was, I'm sure Emu was like, absolutely, go do it. You want to make a game out of it? Fine. Just make sure they die.
Well, they do this all the time.
You know what I mean?
They do this shit all the time.
Right. Well, you know, when he found out, I'm just saying, as far as like the coincidence of it, you know what I mean? It just so happened he found the Davy clan. Emu was like,
oh,
that.
yeah.
And
he was like, hell yeah.
So, and that's what made this different from any other quote unquote slave event. You know what I'm saying? Where it just so happened that it drew the attention of Rox, who was like the biggest fucking pirate at the time. So they turned shit up, and his whole legacy got squashed in one day, in a matter of probably less than an hour, where all of these events started unfolding. Completely fucking insane how it was, how people have no idea, like, that this was all caused because Emu and the rest of the Celestial Dragons felt like, yeah, it's all right to kill these people, and we got to do it. And it was over a grudge. They weren't actively doing anything to harm the world government other than maybe not paying a heavenly tribute, which, come on, it's not like they actually need, right? I mean, yeah, I get that. So, like, all because they felt like they could do what they want. That someone's legacy seemingly got wiped out. But that's not what happened, because Blackbeard is still strong and kicking. And I don't know, like, the other thing about Blackbeard is that, like, clearly he's not a force of justice at all. Neither was Rox, but he had his own. He has a code. I think the same way Teach has a code, but Teach's code isn't about like keeping things stable. You know what I'm saying? For the sake of others. I don't know if Rox was either. I mean, I know he was fucking with Emu or whatever, but I think Teach is gonna be the true villain of this series, and it's gonna be because he's the product of consequence. I think they're gonna mop up Emu. I don't think they're gonna be the threat that we all are trying to build them up to be, and I think really Teach is gonna just be the product of these consequences. You know what I'm saying? And it's gonna throw especially with the amount of power he has. All right.
Yeah,
I've said enough about One Piece, bro.
I mean, no.
I'm running crazy now.
No, you're fine. It's just like I think it's a foregone conclusion that it's possible Blackbeard steals Emu's powers, because he's the only one who can steal their powers. So, you know, and then he'll be the big.
What did
bad
Rox
boss.
say? I would be back here.
I will be back.
Be back here.
Oh my god, it's gonna be crazy. One Piece is so good, man.
Yes,
it's too good.
That's why it was my RGC, because I made me think about.
I know.